Welcome, friends, to Tanked Up, the podcast all about video games and beer. I'm one of your hosts, Ben. It's episode 390, and I'm here this week with Lucy.
Hi again.
Hello, mates. Hello. How was episode 389, which I ducked out of because my voice was like...
Yeah, it was good, and I'm hoping you didn't listen to it. So
I have not.
I can... Good. Because then, if we are looking for things to fill the time, we can play the game that I played with Adil.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Yeah.
So, new feature for us. You did test out actually playing a game on stream as well as part of the
was
episode.
My guinea pig. Yes.
Nice, amazing, good. So, for our audio listeners, we might break it out into two different sections for the audio for the podcast, and then maybe a listen along kind of play sort of thing, or stick it on the YouTube, depending on what looks okay. Because I guess he didn't see the video as you were playing. Like, you weren't streaming the video, or did you do it through Discord?
We did it through Discord.
Nice. Okay.
You'll find out what the
Good.
game is if you don't already have
Nice. All right.
have an idea.
Cool.
So I will do the same games with you,
Nice.
which I think it'll be fun for the listeners because they may not remember what games they were, and also it'll be fun to see because I was going to pit you two against each other. We'll see if you can match Adil's 5 out of 5.
Ooh, what is this game? Okay. Let's see. Good. Well, let's kick into the episode then. I've got a beer that I'm drinking. Have you got anything to drink at all this week, Lucy?
I've only got a water.
Fair.
I can pour myself a G&T, but yeah, I don't have any beer because the one beer I have is the one that I want to drink for our Game of the Year podcast, which is just around the corner for us, recording-wise. But
yes.
for listeners, well, you'll get that soon.
Yeah.
You'll have a nice little Christmas tree.
We'll find out when we record it next week, when there's time to actually edit it and stuff as well. So
you may get it in the Game of the Year 2024 time.
We'll see. Hopefully, I've got time next week after we record it to get it in as well. But right, I'm going to open up a beer. It's one of New Bristol Brewery's 7 or 8 beers of Christmas. I never remember. But it is a collaboration with Vault City, and it is called the Bayleys Mocha, Choca, Flaked Truffle Stout at 7%. It's got some lovely wolves flanking Alfred the astronaut on the side. It does tell me that the hops are East Kent Goldings. The taste is distinctive and decadent, and a little bit of flavour text. An indulgent, one-of-a-kind blend of aged Irish cream liqueur with roasted dark coffee beans sprinkled with milk chocolate flakes. Truffleicious.
That sounds very nice.
So
very good.
Yeah. I think their beers just seem to be getting richer and more decadent as they sort of progress up. So I do need to stop into a bottle shop, proper bottle shop, probably over the weekend. I've got another New Bristol Brewery beer, which I might drink on the episode next week. But I've got a couple of others I've been saving up as well. So I might go and do a little run down to the bottle shop, pick up sort of a few more stouts for kind of over Christmas as well, and see what they've got and if any of the new Bristol Brewery Christmas beers are out. But I'm going to get this poured as you would expect. It's a stout, so it's incredibly dark, a little bit of carbonation to it, but actually there's only a tiny pour left, but a bit of head, but it pours in so thick. It's sort of very, very viscous, which is great.
That head looks quite pillowy as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's you can hear the carbonation. It's frothing quite nicely. Very light nose, much more of the chocolate, I think, on the nose. But I'm getting a little bit of that kind of not quite creamy sort of Bayleys flavour, but there's a little bit of liqueur in there, but not much. It's much more of a chocolate nose. Okay. Ooh. So you first sip it, and you're like, yep, I'm getting a little bit of sort of roasted coffee, and then it just opens up, instantly, just poof, explodes, a flavour explosion. And just go back into it. It's so smooth.
I mean, yeah, it looks it. Does it have any like oats or anything in it, or does it not say that? Or?
It tells me not much else about the ingredients. They might be down the side. Yeah, here we go. Contains barley, oats, wheat, Irish cream liqueur, chocolate. Cholacca coffee.
Shaka Khan.
Shaka Khan coffee. And that's it. That's everything that's in there. So, yeah, you're getting sort of that first kind of coffee flavour, but it just sweetens very nicely. Like, the explosion is just a bunch of sweetness kind of kicking in. A little bit of chocolate. A smoothness which comes and is there more at the beginning now as my palate's kind of adjusted. A little bit of that kind of cream, but there's this, I don't know whether it's the Irish cream or it's just the beer itself. There's just a touch of a bitter burn towards the back of it that really hits the back of your mouth, and sort of sits right there at the back, which is really nice because it's sort of like it's taking you through a little flow. It's quite short, it's quite sharp. All of those flavours happen in that kind of explosion. So it's a really short flavour profile of it. Kind of, it does flow, but it's just such a small flow. It's like, here it is right in there. And it's like, oh, that was a nice change in flavour. I'm kind of left with a little bit of the coffee more than anything else. I think maybe that bit of bitterness is just kind of sticking around, but it's gone from the back of my mouth. And actually, it's more kind of at the front. But it's a very dry beer. It feels like it should be nice and wet and smooth, but it dries out really quickly. And I've been talking through it as well, which doesn't help so much. But
it's interesting.
It dries right at the front really quickly.
Yeah.
And then it all sits towards the back. And...
yeah, I think I'd want that to luxuriate on my palate.
A little bit. I think I'd want it to last a little bit longer. And I'm not taking small sips. I'm not sort of supping. I'm taking a gulp of it to try and get as much as I kind of can. But even a little sip, try and sort of throw it around a little bit. And even then, it's dried out already. So it's really, really quick, really dry. And leaves you with that nice kind of creamy, but very then like coffee or roasted kind of finish to it, with that touch of bitterness in there. I mean, if it lasted even just twice as long, didn't dry out, dried out over 10 seconds rather than 5, I would drink this all day.
Nice.
You cannot tell that it's sort of 7%. As I said, there's a little bit of a burn. It might be a bit of the alcohol, but I think it's more the flavour profile. It's more the roasted kind of coffee. This is lovely. This just works really, really well as a set of flavours. But I just want it just to be that bit longer. Not much, not even that much. Just a little bit, please. But yeah, I'm going to drink this probably incredibly quickly.
Yeah. Does most things right, which is a good thing.
Absolutely, yes. I wonder if it's one. It's interesting because it's a Vault City collaboration. It'd be interesting to know what the recipe kind of combination between the two breweries. What was kind of proposed by who? If it's kind of, and I don't know New Bristol's brewing process in terms of these collaborations, whether they kind of come up with an idea, and then they're like, oh, who do we think would be good to make that beer with, and bring them in for their input and expertise on certain things, or whether it's just a true collaboration. They just get together and like, what should we make? And I want to kind of get these flavors in, and someone's like, oh yeah, that would match up really well, and I want to bring that kind of in. So be interesting to see if we can get someone on to come and chat to us about these beers, because they have come up. I think I've drank them
Yeah.
For the last couple of years on the podcast when they sort of pop up at the sort of the run into the winter break. So yes, something maybe for next year. But we won't sit on beers any longer. We'll launch into video games because I want to get to this thing. I want to get to this kind of quiz-esque kind of let's play a game on the podcast on stream sort of section that we're trialing and potentially bringing in for next year if people enjoy it. Or we just want to do it. Fuck you guys.
We're going to do it anyway, regardless what everyone says.
Is there anything you want to talk about game-wise? Anything you've sort of managed to get to this week?
No, nothing at all. I don't know. I'm just not in the mood.
Right.
It's really bad. Because especially like, our Game of the Year stuff. It's like, oh, I want to fit in Cocoon. I'm gonna have to force myself to finish Jusant, even though I'm very much enjoying it. I don't know what's wrong with me. Yeah, it's been a weird year.
Yeah.
I'll try and end on a flourish and on a high and finish at least one game before next week.
It's interesting because I've finished this year. I've finished so little. Like I get to a point in a game and I'm like, cool, I'm happy with what I've experienced. Something else is here. I'll jump on that for a little bit. Cool, I've got to a point where I'm happy with that. I'll jump on to the next game. And I haven't finished Jusant. I didn't finish Dedonia. I haven't finished The Invincible. Like a bunch of games. I haven't quite. Like I'm
the other
right at
day.
the fucking end of all of these games, but I just haven't pushed them. I haven't gone back to them yet. So I need a week, just as you do, like a little flourish, just to go. Cool. Just one more hour and just something that'll be done. One more hour in this.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, I was thinking of The Invincible. I was like, better never finish that because I really want to know what you thought about the ending. I don't think there's any point in me trying to play anything new because I probably won't finish it all. I think it'll just be like, just tie the bow on something like Jusant or something. Yeah.
Nice. It's a good idea. It's, I suppose it's a difficult one to kind of go, especially with Jusant, where we were talking about like the idea a game to luxuriate with, that we want to keep having that experience. We want to just sort of wallow is the wrong word. We want to just sit.
No, wallow's the right word for me.
We want to sit and just enjoy it again and again and again, just for it actually not to end. So maybe there's a little bit of us forcing ourselves to temper our time with it just a little bit, so we just eke it out. We just get that experience over a longer period of time, rather than potentially. I think as we were kind of talking about it a few weeks ago, we still want that payoff, right? We want it to have that kind of journey level of emotional connection, or Celeste level of emotional connection when you get towards the end of that game. So hopefully it does, but I think we're both a bit, again, not reticent to do it. We're just sort of like, maybe there is a little bit of fear in it that it's not going to quite live up, but yeah.
I think I'll enjoy it regardless, but I think I don't know. It's because it's the time to play video games.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nobody's going outside.
Try and stay as much as possible.
Yeah, but we'll see. Maybe next year will be. All the games in 2023 we didn't get around to. So.
Maybe,
yeah. Let's hope nothing comes out in 2024. Not a single game.
Absolutely. Like Cocoon will be our game of the year next year because we suddenly both get to it. And we're like, oh my god, how did we not play this last year? Yeah. Good. I mean, this is the problem. There's so many games I want to get to. Especially with the PS5 now, all of those PS5 games that I kind of missed out on, and the one that sticks out the most is God of War Ragnarok. Right, we both enjoyed God of War when it kind of re-released.
Yeah, great game.
In what was that, 2018, something like that. And I think Ragnarok, because God of War was so good, I was definitely reticent to play Ragnarok. I sort of didn't want to get to it because my experience with the 2018 God of War was so good that I'm not sure I want any more from this. But I didn't play it on PS5 because obviously it's not made for that. It's made for didn't play it on PS4. It's made for PS5, and now I'm thinking, because I've got the machine, I'm like, oh, do I get to it? Should that be the next thing?
Yeah.
And with this epilogue, this free DLC that released a few days ago,
Oh yeah.
people are saying it's amazing. Like it's
Oh.
you know, it's like a mini game. Like they could have charged for this. You know, it's that level of quality that just runs through. So now I'm
I
thinking
thought it was
more
just like a boss rush mode, but
no,
if they put
no.
more into it. That's interesting.
I think there's
like the Valkyries thing in the first one, maybe.
sort of. I think it's a bit more of a roguelike-ish kind of run. So rather than being boss rush necessarily, you're still doing a run through a space and probably getting to a boss. There's lots of story points in between. So in between every run, you're getting lots of story. There's a lot of writing in the game as well, which comes out in those points. I don't know. Again, I haven't played Ragnarok, so I don't know if he's still got Mimir hanging on his belt. Because that was always, you know, it was incredibly well written exposition kind of throughout that game, well written character. So maybe there's a little bit more of that potentially as you're going through a run and stuff. So yes, I think that's the thing for me that I'm sort of sat going, because January is a time where I get to well, there are, but I usually find, like this year I played Elden Ring in January. I played Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core in January. You know, games that had come out the previous year that I was sort of just getting to. So I think God of War is sort of sat at that point. I'm like, cool, let's wait till I find it cheap, or I pay the extra like 15 quid or something to bump up to PlayStation Plus Premium, where it's a free game at that level of the service. Because it's 15 quid for a year to then just play God of War seems like a fair cost for that. So yes,
my hesitancy is the problem with something like God of War and Horizon Forbidden West is that my problems with the first games still appear to exist in the second games. When people said it needs editing, it's overly long, overly bloated, and it's full of, fluff. And that was my biggest problem with Horizon. Like, I didn't like... I was like, I don't like this game for like the first 10 hours. And then it became my game of the year. And same with God of War, the pacing on that game. I have PTSD flashbacks to like the Elfenheim or whatever, where you're just crossing those yellow brick magical roads or whatever and having to pick up these canisters and move them. And it's like, oh my god, I don't think I can do that to myself again.
Absolutely. Like, no. I'd agree. If there's that in that game, then yes. What I would like is, obviously more battles, more story. But even puzzles where I'm just chucking the axe at things, kind of more accuracy-based kind of stuff to move things around and that, you get to those kind of almost Tomb Raider level of puzzles where you're having to use the environment to sort of progress.
Tomb Raider was saying that.
Yeah.
It just seems... It's like, do you guys not learn? Do you not care to learn? Or... I know. I mean, it's a good thing that, like, these are very prestigious studios within Sony, and it's like they have probably mostly carte blanche to do what they want. But at the same time, you are not seeing your family crunching on these games all the time. I know you have this creative vision and everything like that, and there's probably a lot left on the cutting room floor that we don't know about. But it's like, why not leave some more? And go home and see your family. Do you need everything in that game? Like all of that stuff. So yeah, that's why I'm just a bit like, can I be asked to get around to them? Will there be any merit in it? Will it make me like those characters more? Or, like, is it a story I need to experience?
Absolutely.
Like, I don't know. I don't know. In this fictional land where I have like 25 hours to complete God of War, then maybe, but at the moment,
But is the new God of War a 25-hour game? That was about the last one. I think the new one's probably bigger. So you might be looking more like 30, 35.
Ah, well then I'm definitely not playing it.
That's a
that
work
settles
week,
that.
mate. You've got a whole work
Yeah,
week just to play
that
one
settles
game.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah, let's
yeah,
have a look. God of
absolutely.
War, Ragnarok. 26 hours.
Oh, is that all?
Yeah,
Is that all?
not all. Yeah, God of War, the first one was 20 and a half hours.
Right, okay.
The second one's 26, so they've
Right.
definitely beefed it up. Why can't we go back to God of War 2005? 9 hours. Why
Nice.
don't we do that?
Well, because then all the Call of Duty people will cry. I'll blame
You know,
Christopher
4 hours is a
Judge.
perfectly acceptable length for a video game. I think most Call of Duties are that length, but
They might
it's
have
because
been.
this one was especially crap.
Yeah, yeah. Well, this one may have been 4 hours, and the last one may have been like 5.5 hours. So it seems that much shorter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. I have played some games.
Ooh.
I have found a little bit of time. So the two that I have been playing, first is SteamWorld Build.
Yes, I've downloaded that.
Oh, nice, nice. I really like it. It's a good. It's a really good, like not city builder, right? So it is a city builder, sort of, but it's a good puzzle game because every city builder is a giant puzzle game, but it's not the same kind of puzzle game in like City Skylines or something like that. You're not worried about traffic management, zoning, and all of those sorts of stuff. You're more concerned with, and I think what is good about SteamWorld Build is you're more concerned about building your population, because building your population unlocks more buildings, and there is actually a storyline through this, right? So you jump into a map, and there's 5 or 6 different maps to choose from to start with, and you have a storyline. So all of the robots need to escape the planet that they're on, and to do that you have to do certain things, which is all explained. But to unlock the things you need to be able to do that, you've got to build your population, unlock new kind of citizen classes, which bring new buildings and new upgrades and things with you. And it does it very well in that it's not that difficult to start with, to start building these things up. It's quite simple in its progression. So great, I've built some houses for workers. I have, for workers to be happy, I have to build like I can't remember, like a service shop, a chop shop kind of thing, a couple of bits that do that. They're now happy, and I've unlocked the next level of character. So it goes from worker to like engineer, I think maybe.
Okay. Yeah.
And to get the engineers, I upgrade the workers' houses. So as long as they're satisfied, I can then turn that workers' house into an engineer's house. And you progress through it like that. So your city kind of expands, or your settlement expands and builds as you kind of start out with this core, and then you're upgrading that core, but then you still need more workers, so you have to build more worker houses. Then when you've upgraded it to the next one, you have to build more engineer houses, so then you need more worker houses again. And it expands in that kind of way, making sure that you're covering what those citizens kind of need. And there's lots of humor around the different kind of things, as you would expect from a SteamWorld game. But the really interesting part of this is the split between the kind of the overworld settlement building and then the underground exploration and resource management kind of game. And so at a certain point in the settlement, you unlock the mine shaft, and then you can start going on to the levels below, basically.
Right.
So you jump into the first like sub level underground, and you need to mine resources. Those resources help you in the settlement, but also you're looking for parts of things as well. So there's a little bit of exploration, and it's kind of a bit of a mix. It's not quite SteamWorld Dig. It definitely has that feel to it, because of course it is. It's an underground mining kind of experience, but it's much more like Dungeon Keeper in its gameplay. So you have to zone areas for I'm never going to remember the names of all of these different characters that you can have. But basically, whatever the first one is, there's a character who just is like worker number one, right? And they can dig stuff out and do basic things. And then you need prospectors, who are the people who can actually mine stuff. Then you have engineers, or mechanics maybe? Yeah, mechanics, I think, who can then build machines. So the prospectors don't have to mine anymore. You can put a machine there instead. Then you have guards, because there's an element of enemies and stuff within these spaces. So that all expands and builds really, really nicely as well. You know, a similar kind of pace as the overworld, as the settlements. And I think what works quite well is they're both tied together. So you don't unlock a bunch of the stuff underground until you've got, again, your settlement to a certain level. So you have to quite frequently switch back and forth between these kinds of things. It's not like, cool, I'm underground now, I'll just search around here. It's like, oh no, to unlock the next bit underground to use, I need to upgrade my settlement above. And there's a train on every level that runs through and brings resources, and you can set up trades and those kinds of things. And that comes in every sort of 3 odd minutes. I think it's almost I don't know whether it's needed as a delivery vehicle, or whether they put it in as a kind of, come back to the overworld. Stop spending all of your time here, because you don't need to. You should be back here right now. Here's the train, pulls you back, you do the bits you need to, and then you go to do the kind of slightly more interesting bit underground, the exploration, the mining, the building up of resources, and all of that sort of stuff. So I think it gets that balance quite right. At least for me, it got the balance right between those kinds of things. So the loop is really, really good.
Yeah.
I'm currently on the second level, second underground level, let's say. Like milestone 11 or 12, something like that, I think, and progress through with this overarching story a little bit that kind of only jumps in with a few little interstitial kind of moments as you hit a milestone, maybe, or you discover something. But it's just a very like chilled game as well. There's no like rush to it at all. You haven't got to be like, cool, I now need 100 workers. Great, build the buildings. It's just like, cool, let's just put the one here. That's not quite in the radius of the buildings that I have. Let's move it a little bit. Let's rejig everything. You know, there's no penalties for moving buildings around and that sort of stuff. So, you know, there's various different timers on things. So turning timber or turning logs into boards, and boards are needed to build new buildings and things. So there's a few timers on these things. And I imagine proximity between buildings changes that timer, because you can see the character going back and forth between the buildings, dropping off and collecting resources and the goods that have been sort of manufactured. So there's a little bit of optimization, let's say, in where you place buildings and their proximity to kind of each other, but nothing that's ever seemed like you have to get spot on. You know, I'm not worried about whether a board is made every 30 seconds or made every 20 seconds, you know, because there is no rush in this game.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the thing that I've heard the most, that it is like stress-free and chilled out, and, you know, timers going off and like signaling the end of the world and the universe, and the robots all die if you don't do something as efficiently as possible. So yeah, plus it was on Game Pass, so I was like,
oh, nice,
check it out.
Yeah.
And the winter DLC, the Christmas DLC, looks delightful.
Yeah, I haven't experienced that. I know it's there, and it basically just says it will just appear. And I don't know whether it's more cosmetics.
I think it's just it just changes the look. It's just snowy.
Right, maybe I need to turn it on.
And there's I doubt it released that long ago. I'm sure I saw a press release.
It was only last week sometime, maybe.
Yeah. Jingle bolts, but it's like, I think I prefer that art style. Like, it looks a bit more cheerier than like the desert.
Just the dry desert, yeah.
Yeah, the just yellows and browns to me. It's got a pretty art style though.
It has, yeah, absolutely. I really like the underground the aesthetics of the underground sections and stuff a little bit more than I do with the overground kind of stuff. A lot of the time, you don't see a huge amount of the detail, and the buildings are quite detailed. You know, even the characters walking around, but you're zoomed out so much to get an overarching view of the sort of the settlement that you don't zoom in enough to see. There's like a burger place and stuff, and it's all like based at like a diner kind of thing. You know, there's some really cool little buildings in there which I don't think you get to see quite as much.
No.
One of my issues is within that overworld, and it's that whilst I'm zoomed out that much, you get these little tumbleweeds that roll through. They roll across the landscape, and you can click them, and the tumbleweed will give you resources, right?
Nice.
So you click a tumbleweed, and it might give you like $4,000 or currency, or it might give you a few rubies or some other resource, right? I assume it's kind of rolled through your town or rolled through somewhere else. It's picked this stuff up, you click it, it explodes, and you get it. When you're zoomed out and you're looking over things, you don't really see them very well.
Right.
And I find I'm just like moving around, and suddenly one is stuck on a building. I'm like, oh, cool, I'll click that one. So rarely do I see them moving across like the open plain, because I'm not looking there. My vision is on this part of it. It's not on the sort of periphery where it might be moving across. So it feels not cheap, but it feels like a bit of an oversight that it doesn't quite pull your attention enough, because the stuff that you get from popping one of these is quite significant. You know, I might have especially in terms of the currency, you know, if you can pop $4,000 extra, that's quite big in terms of what you can spend it on and upgrades and stuff. Because, you know, even with 200 citizens in my city, I'm only making like $1,000 kind of dollars every minute or something as it sort of ticks up and through.
Oh, you're living in a nice society then. You're
well,
not,
I'm not losing. Right? So you do. So
all the residents.
that is how you make. Well, that's how you make money. They suggest that there's a tax. I don't know how the residents get this money, but you're taxing them.
Like the Middle East taxation rather than Scandinavia.
Well, it's all it's all spent back on the buildings, right?
So it's definitely not the UK's government.
Absolutely not.
No. Just spaffed up a war.
I keep my buildings very up to date and maintained as well.
The schools aren't collapsing on children.
So
poor robot children.
You don't. So I think the reason why it kind of grins so much on the overworld is you don't get that. You can't zoom out as much on the underground section. You're quite limited in the view. It's a lot closer. So you feel a lot closer to what's going on in the underground sections than I think you do in the overground settlement areas.
So the story, how is the story communicated to you? Is it like a voiceover, or is it just text pop-ups? Because I thought
it's all voice acted.
Okay.
So
I was thinking that would be a good way to like actually give you incentive to zoom in, like actually have like little stories play out.
I mean, that would absolutely be a big incentive to jump in. I think that would be really cool. But this
robot did this. This robot did that. I don't know.
I mean, it basically is the game kind of. You get a big vignette around the outside of the screen, and a text box in the middle pops up with a robot on one side and a robot on another side, and they talk to each other, and it's all voice acted, but that's it. And other robots might pop in. There's never more than two on the screen, kind of talking.
Do they have
to each other.
Actual English, actual words voice acting?
Yeah.
Oh. Because I'm sure in like the other SteamWorld games, it just used to be.
I never played Quest, so I don't
never had
know.
Voice acting.
But it's all it's based on it's all desert, so it's all yeehaw kind of, but very kind of mechanical sort of in a mechanical kind of way.
Yeah.
But there is that, but it does come up very infrequently. As I say, it's if you discover something or you hit a certain kind of milestone, it will pop up and push the story along, what little story there is, but it's getting you to an end point. Again, this isn't something like a city builder where it is open forever, as long as
Yeah.
you want to have that city and tinker with it and build it and expand it. There is a goal in SteamWorld Build, which I very much appreciate, because let me see, where's my cursor?
Yeah, that would be nice, and for my brain actually having a endpoint.
Yes,
goal.
yeah.
Yeah.
I have spent nearly 14 hours over the last 2
Oh
weeks
wow.
on this.
Wow.
Some of that will be where I have put it on and gone off and done a load of work,
Idled, yeah.
and it's just idled maybe a couple of hours. So I reckon I'm maybe at 11 or 12 hours on it. I don't know how long to beat would say about it for getting that story progression kind of done. But yeah, I'm really liking it. I'll stick with it for a little while. It's a nice chilled game, as I say, so it will sit quite nicely for me to go back to over the next week as well, while I'm kind of at the computer working and stuff like that. So
always good to see Image and Form. I know they've changed their name, haven't they? Aren't they just all Thunderful or something now?
Yes.
Yeah. That they just keep making different genres with that SteamWorld, in the SteamWorld universe. It's
Absolutely.
really good to see.
Yeah.
This one, well, initially and may prove to be not my cup of tea, but it's like I've always given their games a try, like even the Quest one, like the deck building card game. Not my favourite genre, but yeah, that was good. So even the gosh, it was a turn-based tactics one. SteamWorld
Heist.
Yes.
Yeah, I really liked Heist.
Really enjoyed that as well. Yeah. So.
I didn't realise I've got SteamWorld Dig 2 in my library. I had no idea.
I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that. I didn't like it as much as a lot of other people. People really, really, really liked SteamWorld Dig 2. I think I probably liked the first one maybe a little bit more.
Yeah.
But yeah, really good games.
So interestingly, so Image and Form made and published Dig 2 Heist, but not Quest. They made Quest, but Thunderful published it. And then for SteamWorld Build, it's published by Thunderful, but I think it's made by someone called The Station. Let me just bring it back up. Go back to it. Yeah, The Station. And if I click on them as a developer, they have made SteamWorld Build, but they've also they're part of the SteamWorld Complete bundle, which I assume includes Build for them to be as part of that. Yeah, whether it's a new development team, whether Image and Form just merged into Thunderful and that's just what they've called themselves now, or a slightly different kind of dynamic. But as you say, I think it's really good that they constantly change their genre of game, and they're just building out this universe, because obviously with it being a universe, they can kind of do what they want with so many of these things.
Yeah. And, Image and Form made The Gunk. Forgot about that. I forgot it was them.
I didn't play that. That was a Game Pass game as well, wasn't it?
Yeah. Still on there. It was probably about 6 hours. It was just fun, charming game with a decent gameplay loop. Didn't overstay its welcome. It was decent. Yeah.
Good. I'll move on to the other game that I've been playing, but I won't linger on this one because Lucy, you will not give a shit. I've been playing Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade, which is the free. Was it free DLC? It's DLC to Final Fantasy VII Remake, right? It's more Final Fantasy VII, isn't it?
Moving on. That's the only time I'm allowing you 5 seconds just to say the title.
Adil's in the chat. He says, "Ooh."
God.
He's probably.
I like how he peeps up when just to
now
Make
he's
you
here.
suffer more.
How he's about 7-8 hours behind, so he's probably eating his breakfast or his lunch around about now. Steam Deck acquisition. What for Intergrade? Maybe. But it's as I was kind of scrolling through my PS5 library of all of these games that over the months I've just been saying, yes, I want that added to my library, please. Final Fantasy VII Remake was one of those, even though I already had it on a disc and have it on a disc, and luckily still have it on a disc, because I couldn't load up my and the fucking game's a pain in the ass, right? This and Far Cry 6, pain in the fucking ass. Trying to bring a save over from a PS4 to a PS5, because I have to have the game installed on PS4. I have to go into the game and I have to manually upload the save to I assume a publisher's server, to then go onto the PS5 and manually download the PS4 save.
How is this still an issue,
mate?
In 2023,
with I did the same.
Christ.
I did the same with Horizon Forbidden West, because the amount of amazing photo mode images I see, I'm like, I want to go back into Horizon Forbidden West just to see what it looks like on PS5. It's fucking gorgeous. It looks so good. Like, that jump between those consoles is actually quite significant. But that was just like, do you want to download your PS4 version? I'm like, yes. And it did it instantly.
It's just certain games where it's a bit of a headache.
Yes, very much.
That's a little more forgivable. Because I was like, how are we still here? And PSN can't do that.
Exactly. But it can. I just don't know whether it's only like a Sony first party thing, and they haven't opened that tech up to other companies or publishers. Because all of my PS4 stuff and now my PS5 saves are backed up on a cloud, right? As part of my PS Plus subscription, it's all backed up. So surely it could just pull it from there.
Yeah.
Which I assume
won't be
Horizon
an
did.
issue next for the PS6. Hopefully they would have sorted that out. But yeah, it's one of the, I think, understated things about Xbox, how that just works. But Microsoft have obviously got much more software capabilities and everything like that, and so understandable. But yeah, it's so easy. It's like thinking data.
This is why PlayStation bought Gaikai, isn't it? Just just for some lovely cloud-based stuff. But I mean, I'll talk about it for 2 minutes. Only
long.
Only in that I like that they are expanding characters. So the DLC follows Yuffie, who is
I was going to say Huffy.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yuffie.
I was going to be like, is it, what's their name? Yuffie? Huffy?
It's Yuffie.
Oh, right.
But so
Clyde.
Well, there's a new character. I think he's called Sonnen, and it's what it's doing. It's just fleshing out the world, right? You didn't get to play or bring Yuffie into your party in the original game until you got to a certain point after exploring the open world. You get to Wutai. You don't have to actually unlock her as a character to be able to play. I think she might be missable. I think it's only like Red 13, Kate Sith, and Sid, who are characters which join your party. I think Vincent and Yuffie are kind of missable. But what this has done is it's gone, we're going to give a bit more backstory to her. So she was actually in Midgard, in the city, at the time that other stuff in the kind of first act of Final Fantasy VII was happening. So whilst you know that you're going to get to the end of the DLC and she survives, because obviously she turns up later in the experience of the game, it's interesting to see the other characters that they brought in to flesh out the world a little bit, to build on that, but also bring in other characters. So some of the antagonists that were part of kind of the Shinra Corporation, which you saw for mere minutes, I suppose, within the original kind of game, turn into bosses within this kind of DLC.
Oh,
So it's just a really good way of them fleshing out the world
Yeah,
that little bit of an incredibly already well fleshed out world. It's just giving more, and they've not fucked
that
around
sounds
that
smart.
much. They've not fucked around with things like the soundtrack that much and that sort of stuff. So you're getting all of those lovely little fan servicey kind of nostalgic hits as well through it. They've thrown in some additional kind of ridiculous jazz numbers as well, which I'm like, I'm down for this, absolutely.
Yeah.
This fits like a Japanese JRPG in this chaotic kind of combat that I'm going through at the moment. Just having this jazz playing in the background, I'm like, yes, this fits very, very well. So as a package, it works really well. It's really good. But for people who enjoy Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah. For all of Square's many faults, they don't F around with Final Fantasy. Well, this remake they haven't. It sounds like they've done the right things and given the original its proper dues.
Yes. Yeah. It will be interesting to see what they do next, or what they come up with next, if they do remake another game, because obviously 7 is taking them so long. It's a whole team over years, whereas Capcom, I think, are probably one of those publishers doing remakes right in what they're putting out. Getting out all of those Resi games. Okay,
Except,
maybe they're not
fact,
picking.
they're doing it all wrong.
They're not picking the right games.
It's just like, come on, you haven't done Dino Crisis. They're doing it all wrong. They're gonna do Code Veronica before. Well, they probably never do Dino Crisis.
Mate, if
Is there any point of hanging around on this mortal coil if I know that it's not going to be Dino Crisis?
Code Veronica must be the most obscure and probably least sold Resident Evil
I'd say
game.
probably
right?
Revelations or one of those multiplayer
Outbreak.
games.
Do you remember Outbreak?
Yeah.
Where it's like a cast of like 15, 12-ish kind of characters, and you could pick
One of
character
those.
and go through the same level with each different character with different unlocks and abilities. And it was much more like a Metroidvania. Weird, but that was great. I really liked Outbreak. But Code Veronica,
I'm sure Code Veronica remake will be good. It'll probably be great.
Maybe.
But why don't you just do a Dino Crisis one?
Yeah,
Flip is wrong with you.
absolutely.
It's like it's a gimme. Everyone likes dinosaurs.
Completely.
Yeah. You made that stupid Exoprimal game. You have the character models. You have the assets. Just stick them in a.
That's the sci-fi Dino Crisis. It's fine. You've got that game. You wanted a multiplayer Dino
Maybe
Crisis
I
game,
should
didn't
play
you? With
that
mechs.
game one day. Maybe I should just try it, and maybe then I'll be like, "Oh, I'm glad they haven't made it for Dino Crisis."
There's another one coming out from Capcom with like a
Dogma or something.
no we saw a trailer for it like 2 or 3 years ago, a PlayStation thing where it's like an astronaut and a little girl.
Oh yeah,
and
I can't remember.
I can't fucking know what that's called. No, not a clue. But
Probably some stupid name.
I can't imagine dinosaurs turn up
Like
in that.
Exosphere or something. I don't know. But yeah,
Yes, right. So we won't linger on Final Fantasy VII
No, I'm
Remake
depressed now.
Intergrade. It's great. If you love Final Fantasy VII, it's great. And it was free, hooray! Because at some point I said, yes, I want Final Fantasy VII in my library, even though it's already in my library. So I don't know how all of that works. Whether I've got one version which needs a disc and one version which doesn't need a disc. Who knows?
As long as it's free. Yeah.
It's free and it works, so I don't. Let's move on then. Let's move on to this new section, and with Adil in the chat, he may recognise what's going to happen. How are we doing this? How are we working this? How does it work? What's going on?
Well, Adil has a placeholder name which is called Casing Out, I believe.
Okay.
But it's basically if anyone's seen any Game Informer podcast of yore, they called it Back of the Box Trivia, where you read the back of a physical game box or cartridge or whatever, read the flavor text, and you have to guess which game it is.
Right. Cool.
So I'll do that, and I'll blank out any gimme words.
Sure.
And I'll do the same games that I did for a deal last week.
All right.
Because that'll be spicy.
Nice.
And see who's the better gamer.
So when the three of us are on, are we gonna start doing head-to-heads?
We'll see. I will pit you two against each other in a pit to the death.
Yes.
So, last week, because I'll give you the heads up. 1, 2, 3, 4 of these are on PlayStation 2. Because I wanted to be... Because I knew Adil's... he didn't really play on the PlayStation 2. He was more on PC around those times. So I wanted to give him games that are probably going to be inferable. So... And I was like, oh, I think Ben would do pretty well because, you know.
Did have a PlayStation 2, yes, I know.
Yeah.
For those of you just listening to us with Adil in the chat on Twitch, he pitched, and you may have heard it last week if he did mention this, that there's a season prize competition over a few episodes, and the loser has to stream a hentai visual novel.
I mean,
sure.
that would be great.
I mean, there's probably thousands of them on Steam to pick from. Yeah.
Many. Right. Okay. So Ben, your challenge.
I'm a bit nervous now.
Yeah, you should be.
I'm more nervous with this than I did a presentation to nearly 200 people the other day.
Oh,
I wasn't not nervous at all when I did it, but nervous on this one now.
Yeah. Okay. As I say, I'll let you. I'll let you know which one is not the PS2 one.
Okay, cool.
Okay. Tagline on this one is "Fear is your weapon." Invoke fear. Stalk your enemies from the shadows. Unleash powerful moves based on the unique fighting style created for the movie.
Oh.
Defend justice. Take on blank's most wanted, including blank and blank. Feel the power of the blank. Tear up the streets and rooftops with lightning-fast vehicular combat.
What?
Play the movie. Embrace the darkness of blank and the alleys of blank.
Fuck knows.
Featuring the voices of Christian Bale, Michael Caine.
Oh, okay. Well,
Liam Neeson.
I didn't even.
Do I go on? Katie Holmes.
I assume it's Batman Begins. The movie, the game.
I like how you had the movie, the game, because that would be probably the tagline of the game. But it is just Batman Begins.
I had no idea there was a Batman Begins game. I like that it's still in the wrapper as well.
Yes, a lot of these are. That is exactly where Adil got the answer. Right at the same time as you. And he also said, I had no idea there was a game. So you are neck and neck.
I'm glad.
Okay. Can't remember which order I did them in. It doesn't really matter. We'll do this one. We'll do this one next. This is not the PS2 game.
Okay.
And you'll hear what it's on. The world famous blanks are on the move, and this time they're causing mayhem on Windows. They're following each other to the end of the earth, even if it means a one-way trip to blank heaven. Can you step in and help them build, bash, dig, climb, and explode their way to safety? Okay, would you like a guess?
I'm going to go with Lemmings.
Yeah!
Nice.
Lemmings on Windows, yeah, and it is just the Lemmings game, but
mate,
on Windows.
Wasn't Psygnosis a fucking amazing development?
I know, they were so good, yeah. There's so many bangers. And then no more.
Yeah.
Sad
And again, for those
Strange.
listening, as Adol says in the chat, just blurt the answer that he wasn't polite. I'm sat here like, I know what. I'll wait for a break in the text.
No. If
Right.
you know it,
Cool.
speak up. Right. Back to PlayStation 2. The rest are all PlayStation 2. Now, I said to Adil that this was the hardest. But
Okay.
he still got it.
Oh, nice.
Still got
All
it.
right. Oh no, too much pressure.
Okay. The tagline for this game is "Make war, not love."
Okay.
Tune in. The world is your stomping ground as you unleash a devastating new arsenal of weapons and abilities, like the Dislocator and Body Snatching. Turn on. Drop into the swinging 60s and explore 5 huge open world environments around the globe. From Bay City to Tunguska.
Oh, what's that? Oh, bollocks. What's that game called? Is it had a remake recently?
I think
God,
so.
what the fuck is that called? With the aliens. I can see the fucking box. I can absolutely destroy all humans. 2.
Well done. Well done. Yes, well done. That was really
Nice.
good. Yeah.
Fucking, this
You
is
and
hard.
Adil have definitely spent too much time together because this is basically you could cut and paste his audio into this podcast.
Amazing.
There would be no difference.
Nice.
Right. Okay. Next one. Again, PlayStation 2. 5 years ago, Blank escaped from the pressures of life in Blank, a city tearing itself apart with gang trouble, drugs, and corruption, where film stars and millionaires do their best to avoid the dealers and gangbangers. Now it's the early 90s. Blank's got to go home. His mother has been murdered, his family has fallen apart, and his childhood friends are all heading towards disaster. On his return to the neighborhood, a couple of corrupt cops frame him for
San Andreas.
homicide. Yeah! Yes. Yeah, we were discussing it, and it was like, oh yeah, that is the story.
Yeah.
San
I think it's
Andreas.
when it starts talking about gangsters, I'm thinking this sounds like it's probably San Andreas, but there's so many stories that the start of that game. Who knows what the fuck was going on? Like, I just remember Samuel L. Jackson bowling up and being like, "Oh, this is when it started. Cool, okay, fine."
Yeah, but like none of that back of that box actually says anything about the gameplay.
Yeah.
Which is weird to think, given what that game is. It's all about the story.
Interesting.
Right, last one. Because this is a game. Good morning, Blank. Join Natalie, Dylan, and Alex for the ultimate Blank experience. Use clever disguises, tactical espionage, and acrobatic martial arts to kick some serious butt and ensure a successful mission. Featuring the all-star cast.
Oh, okay. Hang on then. Potentially. So I was thinking it was like when it says "Good morning," I was assuming it's going to be a Bond game. I would assume it starts off "Good morning 007." You know, it kind of makes sense in that sort of sense. But I don't get the names. The names don't come up. Natalie, Alex,
Dylan.
I don't.
Alex.
None of those come to mind. Oh, don't know this one at all.
Probably for the best. Featuring the all-star cast of Cameron Diaz.
Oh, Charlie's Angels.
Yeah. The video game.
Fucking hell.
It's plastic.
Charlie's Angels, the movie, the video game. Yes.
This
Wow.
is
again, I had no
This is
idea
something.
this existed.
You know what the weird thing is? That this one, it's like it's got that, that text in English, and then all the other languages, they have far more like actually explaining what the video game is. Just like, oh, I guess us English language gamers only care that. Yeah,
Yeah.
it doesn't even have the other actresses in the. It doesn't mention the actresses in the other text.
They just assume you can speak English and whatever
Yeah,
language you're
yeah.
actually reading it in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but it's just like talking about it's set in Los Angeles, about Bosley, and yeah, I mean, I don't think any thought went into the game, let alone the box art. So yeah,
I was just looking
well
for.
done, 5 out of 5. You're both neck and neck.
Hooray!
You
Nice,
don't, you,
nice,
no,
good.
no one has to stream hentai just yet.
No, or Charlie's Angels, as Adel was suggesting as well. I was trying to find. I can't find it. It was something I saw on Twitter that the basically there is a video game preservation society, right? Like a
Video
database.
Game History Foundation. Yeah.
Yes, and they're going to basically allow a bunch of games to be playable now, kind of through the internet, so you can stream or go onto their database, all for free. So
Yeah.
not only doing an amazing thing for preservation, but an amazing thing for accessibility for people to be able to play all of these preserved games. And I'm wondering whether Charlie's Angels, the movie, the video game, is going to be part of their database
I
to
would hope
start out
so.
with.
Otherwise, I'm happy to send them the copy still in plastic.
No other copy exists anywhere else in such
Probably not.
perfect condition.
No, but yeah, I retweeted them earlier because I
Oh,
was
did
just like,
you?
yeah, they've been doing really good work for years, and I just watched their video of just them running through their website, which is still a little bit bare bones with some things, but it's just a lot of work is going into that.
Nice.
Like if you search for a game, it'll come up with a bunch of like resources in terms of okay, this game appeared in this magazine, and here's the the scan of this
Ooh.
magazine, and this is like the actual manual, and like
Manuals, mate. Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, and just like the design docs and everything like that. So yeah, it's they're doing good work, and it's. So yeah, fair play to them. Because yeah, that's going to be interesting because you have all these archive sites and everything like that, but to have something that's in like one repository, it's very very cool, very good. So
Yeah, very much. I think I think it was on Twitter that I saw it as well. The tweet was like a bloke, or the image was a bloke stood there, but then some amazing box art just down the side of the picture as well. And I'm like, oh yes, we just get to see all of this ridiculous box art and manuals and that sort of stuff again. But there'll be a ton of people who are playing games now who just would have never have read a video game manual because they just haven't existed for years now. You might get a little bit of paper which it went down from a manual to a bit of paper with either a code on for some DLC, or the other side showed you the like control scheme or something like that. Do you even get that now? Who buys physical games anymore? Like that's the
Destroy All Humans game manual. That's about. Anything good in here?
Every time I go back to my mum's, I pick up and open about 6 different cardboard boxed video games that she still has of mine from the PC years, because we stack them up in the bedroom that we stay in and put the baby monitor on top of it to point down into the cot. But I've got like a boxed copy of a bunch of MMOs, like Final Fantasy 11, City of Heroes, Dark Age of Camelot, EverQuest, a bunch of those, and the manuals for those are fucking massive. That's so good, like the amount of information. But the manuals, I just literally just sit there and flick through, like, oh, I remember that from that game. Oh, that looks really cool. Like, what a cool image that they've just randomly drawn like artists kind of concept image, and they put it in the manual. Because again, the amount of concept images and that sort of stuff.
What you need.
Register the game out notes. Yes.
Yeah.
Like an advert in the back for like a Game Genie or something as well. Like, do you want to play this game, or do you just want all of the cheats straight away? Just buy a Game Genie.
The PlayStation 2 is such a good console.
It was. Is your library of PlayStation 2 games quite large, or is it sort of a box?
Vast.
Nice.
A whole big IKEA bag that is taking up 3/4 of my boot at the moment, and that's not even all of them. So, but a lot are PlayStation 2. So we're gonna have fun. We will have at least 365 days worth of content,
amazing.
even if we just do one a day. So,
nice. So, is this where suddenly there's another, the DVDs kind of, take a back seat a little bit, and the PlayStation games suddenly start racking up behind you?
I mean, they might have to. I'm going to have to find somewhere to put them there.
Just get rid of all your clothes. Don't worry about clothes. Yeah. Just shelves of games.
I mean, I just want to show you this. Because I was fearful that you might have, I don't know, just listened to or started editing last week's podcast.
No, I'm not editing. Adul's editing that one, so I'm I'm away from all of it.
But just in case, I was like, I picked up some other games. This will make an appearance.
Jesus Christ!
There's a Captain Scarlet game, but.
It's the era of just any old shit in it.
Shovelware, so we're gonna have fun. Because last week I didn't even I picked up some games that I thought would be very inferable for a deal, and I didn't read them myself, so it'll be fun for me to just go pick up any game and
absolutely.
So we'll do a couple. Each maybe we could do like 2 out of 3. Whoever gets 2 out of 3 each week.
Good idea.
You both can shout up, and if you know what game it is.
Nice.
We'll do that.
I like it.
So,
it's a nice way to finish out the episode as well. A little bit of competition and a little bit of knowledge and nostalgia for everybody as well to roll into. So good. We will finish there as well for this week. I will mention the Bayleys Mocha, Choca, Flaked, Truffle, Stout from New Bristol Brewery and Vault City. I think I said it all at the beginning. It's very nice. It's kind of... the finish didn't get any longer. Like, that explosion tempered a little bit, so it wasn't as good the more that I drank it. That's almost every single beer that people drink as your palate becomes acclimatized to it. So I think it was very solid throughout, and I think it's definitely one that I would pick up again, and I would have another one now. If I had another cast like that, I would have just poured this straight in and continued drinking it. It's lovely and smooth, and it just the flavor combinations work really, really well. I think New Bristol Brewery do a very good job of these stouts. Some of their beers can be a bit kind of like, cool, it's just a New England IPA and it's not doing kind of anything. I think these are just very well considered beers, and a lot of them just work incredibly well like with those flavor combinations and stuff. So I might have another one next week if I don't go and drink it now, which I might. And just pick up another one maybe later. So we'll see. Good. So if anyone wants to throw in suggestions for games, not to us, if Adam and I are going to be answering these questions, if there's any suggestions for flavor text for games for us to guess, or if there's any beers or games you want to throw Lucy's way, you can get her on the socials at
Juicy Loose 9. Yeah, send me some weird esoteric box art that can still be guessed, but it's just like who would have thought this was the text for this game?
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah, we need.
And who knows? I might actually have the case for it as well. So.
We need absurd box art. We need ridiculous flavor text, and even with modern games, as was demonstrated by Air Twister several weeks ago, insane soundtracks as well.
Yeah,
you know.
I was gonna do Brad's suggestions for categories for Game of the Year. I was gonna do best music, and I think it might sweep.
I mean, I've not even played Air Twister, but I'm picking that as that for that category. Absolutely, yeah. Just having spent at least 5 minutes on YouTube listening to it, that is definitely the winner for that. So, good. I'm at Nova_47. We are at Tanked Upcast almost everywhere on the socials as well. I know Adel is at the Omniarch, if you want to hit him up with anything. He and I don't know if you are yet, Lucy, are on Blue Sky as well. I don't think I've got the underscore on Blue Sky. I think I'm Nova47, so I don't think you can have an underscore, which is a bit of a shame. But yeah, I'm putting a few bits on there as well. If I tweet, it's going on there as well, generally. So you pick your place you want to exist, which I'm obviously not doing. But also go to outoflives.net, everybody, to look at lots of articles and reviews and things going up at the moment. We've had a bit of a rush. The end of this year has been quite busy with sort of new releases, new TV shows coming out towards the end of this year, new films, and new games as well. So there's been a few more posts going up on outoflives.net as well. You can, if you really want to, rate and review us on your podcast service of choice. It's always a help and always appreciated. So please do that if you have 5 minutes, or it probably isn't even that, 30 seconds too. That's it. That's the places we reside. It's the games we play. It's the beers that we have drank. Thank you, everybody, for joining us this week, and we will see you soon. Goodbye.
A chow for good measure.
Chow.
Yes. 2 chows. 4 chows.
Ciao, ciao.
www.outoflives.net